Yes, guys, welcome back to SFeatleyTV. We're here for another episode of F1 Legends. Right, so we are going to look back at this week. We're looking at four-time world champion Alain Prost as we look back at it and saying last week we might as well cover the other half of the story, which is Alain Prost, his main arch rival and fiercest rival, and a rivalry that exploded F1 onto the TV screens. Right, it was a great promoter for F1 and the whole backdrop, the whole saga. But we're going to look at Prost's side of the story. So let's go. So let's go. Let's have a look. So yeah, he was born in 1955 in February. Do get your comments in, by the way. Do hit that like button. Do hit that subscribe button and share the stream on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, share it. Put the link in the chat if anyone wants to join. They're more than welcome to. So there we are. So Alain Marie Pascal Prost, born in February 1955 in Louis, France. And early career, he won all the several championships in his teens, got up to Formula 3 where he won that, and he went till 1980, so when he was 25, that he finally got the chance to race in Formula 1 at the Argentine Grand Prix of 1980, and it was with McLaren. Now, people might say, why is he getting straight into a dominant car? But McLaren weren't the dominant force then. It was more Renault and Williams, right? I believe. So, yeah. But he got his chance to prove it in McLaren and stayed there for a number of years. His first win after his first start, which was the Argentine Grand Prix 1980. His first win was until the following year into the French Grand Prix. The French Grand Prix, and him being French, what a way to start off your winning career, which is at your home race. So, yeah, and he partnered along. I mean, he did start at McLaren. Then he went to Renault in 1981, where he did win his first Grand Prix, because obviously next to Rennie Arnoux, an all-French team with an all-French car, right? To win his home race with a French car, right, is pretty remarkable. And so he stayed there until 83, picking up a number of wins, but never quite reaching the heights that was supposed to. And this was at the height of the turbo era as well. And it wasn't until 1983 he moved. 1984 he then joined McLaren, who at the time had a Porsche engine at the time, and he partnered in 1984 alongside Niki Lauda, who became world champion that season. And it was a hard-fought season. He only won it by half a point, Niki Lauda, to Alain Prost. So, and Niki Lauda, his comment was he was the most toughest racing driver to race against. He was known as the Professor. What I mean by that is that as a professor, he was more, unlike Senna, for example, who would go out all out for a win and try and win the Grand Prix. Prost was more played it a lot cleverer. He knew the politics of the sport. He knew how to manipulate the politics of the sport. He also knew how to get the best mentally over other teams and other drivers, which is probably why the Prost-Senna rivalry was a massive one. But he would do whatever it took to be ahead in the championship. If it meant he had to finish fourth to be even 1 point ahead, he'd finish fourth. So he played it a lot more strategically, which made him a very fierce opponent, as well as his speed. So, so after Niki Lauda retired in 1985 and was replaced by McLaren's world champion Keke Rosberg, and that was after 1985. I mean, 1985, Prost was the first French Formula One world champion. I forgot to also mention that, but yeah, he was the first ever French world champion, right? And that took till 1985, which was that's 30 years down the line, 35 years down the line since F1 started, and Grand Prix used to be a French name. It's the French that started Grand Prix. That actually F1 French world champion wasn't crowned till 1985, which is quite incredible. And he was the dominant force, I think, in 1985. And then we had 1986, where he managed to defend his title, and this was against a Honda Power Williams of Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet, and that was like with their beast of an engine of a car of 1980s that would continue into 1987. I mean, that car was by far superior to McLaren, but he managed to successfully defend his title in a car that wasn't supposed to be as good. And to be fair, it was all Mansell's to lose. I mean, Mansell was in the winning position. If we all remember that famous incident down the Walker Straight in where his tyre had exploded, he was the favourite to win. And unfortunately, he missed out because of a exploding tyre. But and then Rosberg's Piquet's had to pit to make sure his tyres didn't explode, which gave the title battle to Prost. I think it was a 3-way battle. So, and luckily Prost managed to defend his title and emerge victorious, because maybe because the Williams were too busy fighting themselves. I don't know. 1987 though, they were far behind. They were very far behind. How am I put this? They were very far behind Williams at the time. Williams had that all-powerful, or what car was it? Let me have a look. The FW11, which was just a beast. It was a beast of a car. It was it was bad. It was such a good car. All that power. I think it's up to about 1,000 horsepower behind you. And a car. Don't forget these cars. You could basically punch your freaking way through them. It's that they were not exactly designed like they are now, which is supposed to be structurally sound and safe, but so 1987 they were struggling to compete with Renault, with McLaren's MP FW11, with Williams' FW11, sorry. And then after Nelson Piquet winning the 1987, his final world championship in 1987 with Williams, Williams was also winning constructor championship. And so, and this is where it played into McLaren's hands. Because what happened was they were not being powered by Honda at that time. And what happened was Williams were powered by Honda for that season. Then at the end of the season, politics, as usual in Formula One, came into play, and they wanted a number of requests, which is 1987. They wanted Nigel Mansell to be dumped and have a Japanese driver in place, which is, I think it was Satoru Nakajima. And they refused. Williams refused to dump Nigel Mansell for that season. So the deal with Honda to supply their engines fell apart. So it immediately got Ron Dennis who was the team principal at McLaren, to jump on the idea, which is they decided to provide McLaren for that year in 1988. Plus, then Ron Dennis took Ayrton Senna from Lotus, and this is where the whole saga began, right? And it was absolutely that season in 1988 was just an all dominant season. And like I said before, with that car and everything, if we saw that season, and like I said on the F1's Perfect Formula with that car, they would have won all 16 races if it went for 4 laps in Italy, where the car where Senna was taken out by a back marker, and plus unreliability from Alain Prost's side. But they absolutely smashed and dominated, and dominated that season, and it was all mutual by then, right? But unfortunately, 1989, again, they were dominant. It was between them two for the championship. And the struggle between the two drivers meant that the admiration and mutual admiration turned into a freaking saga, right? And by the way, do get your comments in, do get your questions in. Do get your questions, do get your comments in. You can donate via the Just Giving page below, directly. Best way to do it. There, pause. So yeah, and then it turned into just like an all-out war between the two of them, which was a major struggle. McLaren's domination continued throughout 1989, but the struggle between them meant that it turned from mutual admiration to all out. Prost accusing Senna of dangerous driving, and receiving more attention from McLaren and Honda. Yeah, and then Senna throw back at him, saying he's in the pocket of John Balestra, who's the FIA president, being French as well. And this is where the politics came in. And this is where it came in big time, because there was a massive accident back in it all came to a head in the Japanese Grand Prix, where Senna had to beat by winning the race to keep the points going. I feel bad, mate. Mate, look, I'm just happy that the thing's monetized, if you know what I mean. But if you want to shout out my channel, that's fine. But I'm happy that the fact we're monetized and we're raising some funds for children's disabilities. If it gets up to 2K or 3K, that's absolutely brilliant. But at the minute, there's just been monetized, so I can make the money for the charity is just brilliant. So anyway, So yeah, Senna and Prost being accused of pickpocket of FISA's French President Jean-Baptiste Balestra, and it all came to a head in 1989 Japanese Grand Prix. Senna had to win to keep the points going to Adelaide, which is the last race of the season. Prost knew if Senna didn't finish, he would win the championship. Now, it got to a point, about the 46th lap of the Grand Prix, Senna tried to go into the last chicane before the start-finish line. One of the opportunities to overtake, went down for it. They both hit each other. Now, before I go any further about this, what happened immediately afterwards is Senna got the marshal to get him down the escape road and escape out of, to then pit and go on and win the race. Meanwhile, Prost was out of the race. He saw Senna restart and immediately went to the stewards. Now, he protested his result because of the fact of not dangerous driving, not going down the inside and causing an accident, because he's gone down a fucking escape road to go straight on. Right? He's gone down an escape road to escape out of. And apparently, you're not allowed to escape through escape roads. You're supposed to stop, turn around, go back against traffic to rejoin the race. That's safe, isn't it? Right? Whereas in the previous Grand Prix in Austria, say like an example, they showed 91, went down the escape road, no penalties, no nothing. Basically, he used the politics of the fact that Balestra was French and all that, and to twist it against Senna, who, in my opinion, in that Grand Prix did nothing wrong apart from try and make a go for it, which is what you do as a racing driver. And if you saw from the aerial footage, he was turning into the corner before you even see the curb before the corner. He was turning in before you even saw the corner, which meant if he carried on that trajectory, he would have cut the corner and cut along the grass. So it looked like, to me, that is deliberate. I don't care what he says. That's deliberate. Right? He's played it very cleverly. So it came to next season. He then left to go join Ferrari because he can't stand working with him anymore. Fine. But obviously the rivalry continued to 1990. And then the situation again was if Prost finished behind, if Prost didn't finish, Senna would be champion. Now, before the race start, after Senna got pole position, the pole position was moved from the clean side of the grid to the dirty side of the grid. And what I mean by the clean side is that the clean side of the grid is where all drivers drive along. It's the most grippiest line on the circuit. If you're on the dirty side, you've got all the dust, the rubber, the crap. You don't get traction off that. You don't get as good a grip and off the line than on the clean side. And it proved it because Senna got away in the lead. But Senna made, like we're saying, no one is getting to that corner first, apart from me. Right? And it meant that Senna deliberately took him out to win the world championship. If he had gone down that gap and wanted to stay in the race, he would have braked before hitting him. He deliberately hit him. Right? So that's where like it was at a peak. And obviously for Formula One, it was a massive story. It was a massive hit. Formula One ratings went right through the roof because there's a massive rivalry and everyone tuned in to see what the next chapter held. And I'm sorry, just you can say they're both as bad as each other. That's what I say. They were both as bad as each other, but right, I'm not. People can say is what they like about Prost, but he played his very good part in that. 1991, he wasn't the same. The Ferrari was poor. very poor, not reliable, not keeping up with the McLaren. And because he criticised the car, Ferrari sacked him straight off the bounce. They sacked him. So, because they sacked him, he took a sabbatical for 1992, and 1992 is where the game changer was, because 1992 he took a sabbatical and he saw what Williams had managed to do with their car, which is active suspension, traction control, right? All those other gizmos that have been making the car in that season brilliant, like beyond even like anything that Senna could match. So he knew if he got the chance to race for Williams, he more likely be getting another championship, which he did get. 1993, though Prost and Senna were both in trying to negotiate with Williams, Prost made it clear in his contract, I don't want to be a teammate with Ayrton. Simple as that. And unfortunately, Ayrton had to stick with another season at McLaren, whilst Prost took all the plaudits in that season in 1993. And after that season, he gently retired. He truly retired, moved out the way for Senna, who took it in 1994, and then obviously that massive accident in San Marino. Whether it would have happened if it was Prost behind the wheel, who knows, but it probably would have. During 1994-95, after his career ended, he became a TV pundit for TF1, the French TV channel. Then worked as a PR man for Renault. Went back also to his old team as a technical advisor. And so, yeah, and then in terms of F1 afterwards, it weren't till... See, I mean, it was during 1989 season, he contemplated about starting his own team as his relationship with McLaren teammate turned sour. Prost and John Barnard, formerly chief that design, came close to founding the team in 1990, but a lack of sponsorship meant that it was not possible. So Prost moved to Ferrari, Barnard left to join McLaren. Rest is history. After falling out with the Italian team in 1901, Prost found himself without a driver in 1992. Prost decided to join the Williams after failing to buy the Ligier team. By 1995, Prost, when was working for Renault, people had assumed that Prost Renault team would be formed. Renault refused Prost's request to supply engines for this team, ending the speculation. It wasn't until 1997 that Prost bought the Ligier team, right, which from Flavio Briatore, and renamed it Prost Grand Prix. The day after he bought the team, Prost signed a 3-year deal with Frenchman manufacturer Peugeot, who supplied the team with engines until 2000. For the team's first season, Prost kept one of the Ligier's 1996 drivers, Olivier Panis, who actually then went on to win the Grand Prix at Monaco in 1996, who won the Grand Prix in 1996, the Monaco Grand Prix, and Nakano joined him in 1996 as well. The team had Mugen Honda engines, a bit like Jordan did, used by Ligier from the previous season. And so it picked up 2 points on its debut, with Panis finished 6th. So let me have a look. In 2001, Ferrari agreed to supply the engines for the season. The money ran out in 2002 season, and Prost was out of business, leaving debts of around 30 million. I thought it was Toyota bought him out. Peugeot's. But yeah, I mean, it's a big career. It was a really good career by Prost. His ability to be able to play with the politics of the sport and know when to push, know when to not to. Like 1988, for example, Senna was about 53 seconds in the lead. That's it. That Grand Prix, 53 seconds. That's light years, right? And Prost was way behind in second and accepted the second place. But the reason he won that race is because Senna didn't know when to just like stop, like pushing, and know when to just ease off and relax. Whereas Prost, for example, if he knew he was that far ahead in the front, he would have backed off and probably would have won the race. And that's the thing. He was very cunning in the way he managed to get out the results he needed to win titles. And it's why he was known as one of the all-time greats. I mean, his personal life. I mean, he won his. I mean, during his personal life as well, during 1986, he won the championship while dealing with his younger brother because his younger brother died of cancer in 1986. And imagine trying to deal with that whilst trying to win a championship at the same time. That's insane, right? And then having two sons from his first wife, Nicholas and Sasha, then a daughter from his second relationship, Victoria. So 3 kids in total. Are they racing in Formula One or racing at all? I don't know. Have a look. Do hit that like button. Do hit that subscribe button and share button. How you go, Nicholas raced in Formula E for his own team. Because that's also after his Prost adventures at Prost. He then went to Formula E when it was first created. I think it was in 2014. It first started and came up with Edams, Renault. And his son Nicholas raced there from 2014 to 18. And wasn't very successful, really, compared to other people in that championship. I mean, so just gonna go to just trying to have a look. His career record. So yeah, career record. So I said 202 entries, 4 championships in 85, 86, 89 and 93. 51 wins, 160 161 6 podium 106 podiums. Then it was bloody sorry, this bloody thing. I don't want to know. Yeah, sorry about that. Where was I? 106 podiums, 33 pole positions, 41 fastest laps. First entry, like I said, was the Argentine Grand Prix 1980. First win was the French Grand Prix. His last win was the German Grand Prix in 1993. So yeah, so just another F1 great. Simple as that, really. It's another F1 great. The link is on in the chat if anyone wants to come on. But if not, then I'm going to wrap it up. But yeah, do hit that like button, do hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there, to be honest. It's not more I can say about Prost. He was just another F1 legend. And one of the all-time greats. And if I'm comparing it to, say, Hamilton, I think one of his mechanics at the time, Joe Ramirez, he described Hamilton as a mixture of the two, of Senna and Prost. And yeah, and you can see it because Hamilton has that mindset of Prost, but then the speed of Senna. So you can see it forward to see. If you can't, you need to watch Formula One a bit more, to be honest. But you can clearly see it with Hamilton between the two drivers. But it was during a time of one of the great rivalries at the time. I mean, we had Rosberg at the start. We had we can't Rosberg. We had who do we have? PK, Mansell, Lauda, Prost, Senna, Berger, right? Some of absolute like icons of the sport, right? In one of probably the best periods of Formula One, one of the most dangerous, not dangerous. One of the most, it's dangerous, but not as dangerous as like the earlier years. But some of the most like sort of like hard working, thrilling times. Because, for example, it's just like the old way of doing things in the F1 cars. You used to change gear all the time, and changing gear meant like about 2,000 times in Monaco. You had like, as Bundle described it, you had blood coming out your hands from the amount of upshifting and downshifting you're doing. Whereas now it's just all flappy battle gearboxes. The drivers don't have it easy now because the amount of gadgets they've got to operate. But yeah, I mean, it's so bad. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up there. Anyway, do smash the like button. Do hit that subscribe button and share button. Please do smash a like on the video. Share this stream. Please do that. It helps raise money for Children's Disease Foundation. We are going to be back at 6:30. We're back at 6:30 for Arsenal versus Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. Until then, everyone stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Until then, bye.